Welcome to NTD.
Good morning. Here are today's top stories. Heavy rain couldn't stop thousands from celebrating New Year's Eve in Times Square. A dazzling ball drop, big performances, and hopeful wishes welcomed 2025.
Japan and South Korea hold muted New Year's celebrations with tragedies in 2024. Both countries hope for a peaceful 2025.
The year has just begun and a new spending showdown is on the horizon. President-elect Trump will enter the White House with an uphill battle to raise the debt limit. He's already on a collision course with some conservatives.
And a deep dive into what to expect in American politics this year as 2025 kicks off. What are the major events and challenges on the horizon, and what are the solutions? A political analyst offers his take.
From AI protections and social media rules for kids to minimum wage hikes and Medicare changes, a look at some new laws reshaping the nation in 2025.
Sticking to your New Year's resolution can be tough, but we have some tips to help you stay focused on your goals for 2025.
This is NTD Good Morning, live from our global headquarters in New York City. Here are Evelyn Lee and Kevin Hogan.
Welcome to NTD.
Welcome, everyone. Today is Wednesday. You know it, January 1st, 2025. Happy New Year to everyone. Those that are up early, but also those that haven't gone to bed yet. I see you.
That's right. Yes. Happy New Year to all of you. Hope it's a good one. And that's incredible. An estimated 1 million people were right here in New York City in Times Square for the ball drop.
Can you believe it? And they lined up. Some lined up at 7 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah, that's right. That's dedication, no doubt. And I mean, even people who lived in New York City their whole life felt like tourists in their own city going to New Year's Eve at Times Square for the first time.
I honestly have to say I'm a little bit surprised that New Yorkers actually went to the ball drop at Times Square. But you know what? Once in a lifetime, you got to do that, right?
Yeah.
Now we're actually moving on to news and topping the news this morning. Heavy rain was no match for all those revelers who came to New York City's Times Square to watch the New Year's Eve ball drop.
NTD's Daniel Monahan has more on the celebration to mark the start of 2025.
Crowds cheered and couples kissed when the crystal-covered ball weighing almost 6 tons and featuring nearly 2,700 crystal triangles descended down a pole in Times Square. Revelers shared what makes New Year's Eve in the iconic spot such a treat.
New York, Times Square. That's the best place to be as far as party time. Yes, so that's why we're here.
Oh, it's crazy. It's just cool to see all the lights here and you get to see all the people here. It's crazy.
And wished everyone all the best in 2025.
Happy New Year!
Woo!
Happy New Year!
Happy New Year!
Happy New Year! Happy New Year! Happy New Year!
Happy New Year!
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year!
Happy New Year!
Happy New Year! Hi, Mom!
Happy New Year!
Peace.
Happy New Year!
Those in attendance shared their hopes and dreams for the upcoming year.
More happiness and more success, more blessings to come for me and for my family, of course.
Just health and just hoping that my family stays healthy for the whole year.
Yeah.
That's the goal.
That'd probably be it, yeah.
Police weren't leaving anything to chance, patrolling the area and monitoring the crowds with their canine helpers in tow. People who had been in line for hours moved through a gauntlet of security checks. This year's celebration included musical performances by TLC, Jonas Brothers, Rita Ora, and Sophie Ellis-Bextor. Crowds have gathered in Times Square to see the ball drop since 1904. Over the past century, that display and symbol of the new year has evolved from an iron and wood cage adorned with light bulbs to a dazzling Technicolor crystal sphere. American Samoa was among the last to welcome 2025, a full 24 hours after New Zealand. Daniel Monahan, NTD News.
Yes, the world rang in the new year in style, from fireworks displays to quirky traditions.
Here's how some European countries welcomed 2025 with their own unique flair.
In London, cheers rang out as Big Ben struck midnight on January 1st, 2025. The River Thames and the city skyline provided the backdrop for a spectacular fireworks display. The weather didn't dampen the festivities. Much of the UK is under severe weather warnings for the coming week, with heavy rain and strong winds. Across the English Channel, revelers in Paris were also treated to fireworks and a light show. The center of attention was the iconic Arc de Triomphe on the Champs-Élysées. For many, the new year symbolizes a fresh start.
This year has been sometimes hard, sometimes very happy. There were the Olympics and other events. While it was sometimes harder for some families, I think today we have to turn the page and move on to 2025.
In Greece, the celebrations took a different tone. The mayor of Athens said this year's festivities took into account the distress that loud fireworks cause on pets and animals. The midnight hour here was a quieter one with few fireworks. But it was no less spectacular. The ancient Pantheon temple in the Acropolis was lit up as Greece celebrated its rich cultural history. But in Berlin, it was party time. Up to 60,000 people gathered near the Brandenburg Gate, which once separated east from west. The atmosphere was one of hope.
Yes, the wishes for this year are peace, very important, and something really great for Germany, a new beginning. That will be very important, not as bad as last year.
In Rome, thousands congregated around the walls of the Colosseum. But Spain has one of the more unique ways of welcoming the new year. As the clock struck midnight, people across the country ate exactly 12 grapes, one for each chime of the bell. It's a tradition that dates back to the turn of the 20th century. Back then, an abundant harvest led grape growers to come up with a novel way to get rid of their surplus. While the east and west of Europe celebrated the new year just a few hours apart, it takes 26 hours for the new year to be welcomed across the world's 39 different time zones. Christmas Island in the Pacific Ocean is the first to celebrate every year. Hawaii, American Samoa, and many of the outlying U.S. island territories are among the last.
And a fun fact, it takes 26 hours for the new year to be welcomed across 39 different time zones. Christmas Island in the Central Pacific is the first to celebrate every year, and then there's Hawaii and many U.S. outlying islands that are among the last places.
And as we just heard, at midnight, residents of Spain celebrate by eating exactly 12 grapes, an annual tradition. Here's a look at some other unique foods people eat around the world on New Year's Eve. And in Poland and in Scandinavia, eating pickled herring at midnight is believed to bring prosperity in the new year. Some enjoy it in a creamy sauce, while others prefer it with onions. In Poland, a special version is made by marinating the herring with onions, vinegar, and spices.
In Japan, families eat toshikoshi soba, or buckwheat noodles, at midnight to symbolize longevity and a fresh start for the new year. This tradition dates back to the 17th century. The long noodles represent good fortune and are a key part of New Year's Eve celebrations. New Year's celebrations in Japan and South Korea were more subdued.
After several disasters in 2024, Japan prayed for a peaceful 2025.
Last year, there were a lot of sad news, so I hope this year will be one where everyone can enjoy a bright and cheerful life with a smile. Every year around New Year's Day and the end of the year, there is big news about airplane accidents, which is a bit too overwhelming for children. So I hope that this year will be as peaceful as possible, with no more such accidents.
Japan went through major tragedies at the start of 2024. A massive earthquake killed more than 500 people on New Year's Day, and there was a major plane crash the next day at Haneda Airport. New Year's Day is one of the biggest holidays in Japan, with many visiting shrines across the country and gathering to watch the first sunrise of the year.
In neighboring South Korea, celebrations were also muted. The country held a moment of silence for the victims of Sunday's fatal plane crash at Muan Airport. But at 12 a.m. in the capital city, Seoul, The sound of a massive bell rang in the new year. The bell is traditionally rung 33 times to symbolize Buddhism's 33 heavens.
Meanwhile, South Korea's transport ministry said today it would send the flight data recorder of the deadly plane crash to the U.S. for analysis.
Investigators have extracted data from the plane's voice recorder. They hope to find clues to explain the fatal crash that killed 179 people on Sunday. It could take about 2 days for investigators to convert the data to audio files.
Families have begun funeral preparations after authorities finished identifying the victims of the country's worst air disaster.
Stay with us. From AI protections and social media rules for kids to minimum wage hikes and Medicare changes, a look at some new laws reshaping the nation in 2025.
The year has just begun and a new spending showdown is on the horizon. President-elect Trump will enter the White House with an uphill battle to raise the debt limit. He's already on a collision course with some conservatives. That's when we come back.
Imagine a coffee that cares for your health. Expertly fermented with a 50 enzyme complex to enhance flavor and remove bitterness. Small batch roasted to a decadent medium dark, resulting in a brew that is gentle on digestion, low acid, and up to 90% less caffeine than regular coffee. Try America's first enzyme fermented coffee today.
大提琴不仅仅是一件乐器，它是有生命、有感情的，需要我们精心的照顾。往往我们一个小小的动作，可能都会对人情绪产生微妙的影响。天音的品牌是福星，我们对于传统的理念很荣幸被神韵艺术团选为指定供应商。时间是酿造音色的不可替代的陪伴。我跟大提琴已经有60多年的友情了，每一把琴都有它自己的个性，熟悉它，才能真正发挥它的潜力。所以，我希望给你的每一把琴，都是首先我所信任的。
Life's daily battles are not meant to be fought alone.
Cloud, you okay?
Because checking in on a friend can create a safe space. Reach out to a friend about their mental health. Seize the awkward. It's totally worth it.
Welcome back. President-elect Trump took the opportunity to give a quick message for the new year.
At his New Year's Eve party at Mar-a-Lago, Trump also expressed confidence in House Speaker Mike Johnson.
Well, just great, a great year. I think we're going to do fantastically well as a country. We're going to bring it back. It has to be brought back. People are not respecting our country very much, and they're going to respect us a lot. I think they'll support Speaker Johnson. I think we're going to have a great time in Washington, and I think we're going to get great support. He's the one that can win right now. People like him. Almost everybody likes him.
Trump also said he would be attending the funeral of former President Jimmy Carter next week.
President Biden, meanwhile, released a statement New Year's Eve on Medicare's new $2,000 cap on prescription drug costs. Biden wrote that health care should be a right, not a privilege. And now that the new year is here, we want to open up the discussion about what to expect in American politics in 2025 with Jeff Crouere, a political analyst and TV radio host. Jeff, great to have you back on. So we have Trump's inauguration, the first time since 2019 that Republicans hold Congress and the White House. In your view, what are the big events on the horizon this year?
Well, the election of the speaker, and you just heard from President Trump. I think he's got the big, of course, influence among the Republicans. If they can get past that, and of course, the certification of the election, and then they're going to be starting on the confirmation battles for the president's cabinet. Remember, over the last few days, the president's chief of staff told the cabinet members to stop posting on social media. Because they want sort of a one message, unity, as opposed to people going in all kind of different directions. And then, of course, we get to January 20th and the inauguration. A lot of concerns, obviously, about potential protests, et cetera. But I'm sure they're going to have plenty of security there. And I know President Trump is going to be inviting foreign leaders. So it's going to be an incredible change in direction from, a progressive Biden administration to a MAGA-oriented Trump administration.
Well, thanks for laying out that outlook there. Now, what are some of the challenges that the U.S. faces right now and the solutions to that?
Well, our challenges are, one, we've got wars going on in several hot spots across the world. President Trump has made a priority now to try to bring about peace in Ukraine, to try to help with the situation in Gaza. He demanded that our hostages be brought home. We're going to see what's going to happen over these next few weeks. I know the Biden administration is working on that. Got to rebuild the military. There's a lot of challenges there with recruitment. And then, of course, Kevin, the border. And that's going to be a big issue that you see from this administration in the first few weeks, a focus on security. And then we're going to see these deportations start. So that's a total change in direction as far as border policy.
Well, I'm going to mention something from a director at the Atlantic Council, Matthew Kronig. He says that Trump 2.0 foreign policy is, like you said, peace through strength, probably a big investment in defense spending, and if deterrence from that doesn't work, decisive military action. More to comment on that, or if you want to talk about China, how can the United States stay a leader and bolster freedoms around the world without China gaining any ground and taking advantage of other countries?
Well, I mean, that's really happened. Look at the Panama Canal issue, Kevin. That's why I think the president has been so aggressive in dealing with Panama. He doesn't like the fact that China has such a big influence on a canal that we built, we paid for, we sacrificed for in our backyard. And that really, I think, is a wake-up call to China. This is going to be a whole new approach, a much more aggressive approach toward China. Remember, we've had a lot of Chinese military-age men enter this country through the open southern border. A lot of questions about, what kind of security now that we have as far as dealing with the Chinese. They've been very aggressive toward Taiwan. That's an ally of the United States we've got to protect. And of course, the Philippines and Japan and so many countries have been threatened by the Chinese. And then you got the whole situation with North Korea. And of course, President Trump has got a good relationship with the dictator of North Korea. And they have been more belligerent during the Biden administration, more aggressive. And it'll be up to President Trump to try to smooth relations with the North Koreans. So as far as foreign policy goes, Kevin, there are so many different ways that this administration is going to try to be working. And then we've got to talk also about domestic policy, because he's going to be working on trying to get these tax cuts passed, continuation of the Trump tax cuts, expand those. And a lot of people are saying that's got to be very, very early in his administration.
Well, thanks for this broad perspective on this topic. Jeff Crouere, political analyst and TV radio host, thank you.
Thanks, Kevin.
New York City police have identified the woman who was set on fire and burned to death in a subway train car earlier this month.
She is Debrina Kawam, a 57-year-old homeless woman from Toms River, New Jersey. Here's New York City Mayor Eric Adams addressing the incident.
And, our hearts goes out to the family, a horrific incident to have to live through. And, just watching that tape, just really, I couldn't even watch it all the way through. It was just a bad incident, and it impacts on how New Yorkers feel. But it really reinforced what I've been saying. People should not be living on our subway system. They should be in a place of care. And no matter where she lived, that should not have happened.
Identifying the victim proved to be a challenge. Police had to use forensics and video surveillance to trace her. It appears Kawam recently moved to New York and had a very brief interaction with the city's homeless services. Nothing else is known about her, but authorities had been in contact with her next of kin.
The man who allegedly set her on fire is Sebastian Zapata, an illegal immigrant from Guatemala. Police said they don't believe Kawam and Zapata knew each other. Zapata has yet to enter a plea in the case and remains jailed. And another subway incident, New York City police say a man was critically injured after being pushed onto the subway tracks.
This is the latest in a series of violent encounters on the New York City subway.
The incident occurred at the 18th Street station in Chelsea yesterday afternoon. Police say they have one person in custody.
The 45-year-old victim was taken to Bellevue Hospital, where authorities say he is in critical but stable condition.
On Christmas Eve, a man slashed two people with a knife at Grand Central Station. The victim survived with wrist and neck wounds.
Police figures show major crimes on subways were down through November compared with last year, but killings have risen.
And as we step into 2025, a host of new laws is set to take effect across the country. The new policies address everything from artificial intelligence and minimum wage to social media regulations for kids.
NTD's Daniel Monahan breaks down some of the key changes.
First up is artificial intelligence, a game changer in 2025. California is taking steps to protect performers by requiring contracts for AI-generated likenesses. It is also banning digital replicas of deceased actors without a state consent. Illinois is taking it a step further, outlawing the use of AI to create or distribute images of individuals without permission. In Florida, social media is getting a parental lock. Children under 13 are now barred from creating accounts, and teens 14 and 15 will need parental consent. Meanwhile, California is expanding protections for child influencers, requiring a percentage of earnings from monetized videos to be saved in trusts, safeguarding their financial futures. Flying soon? Starting May 7th, all U.S. travelers must present Real ID compliant identification for domestic flights. These updated IDs, marked with a star, are part of post-9/11 security reforms. Passports are also an acceptable form of ID. Air travelers who do not present Real ID compliant identification will be turned away at security checkpoints. A number of states, including California, Illinois, and New York, are raising their minimum wage rates in 2025. Some states, such as New York, are also introducing additional benefits, including paid leave for prenatal and fertility appointments. Several laws are sparking debate as they take effect. In Louisiana, schools are navigating a new law requiring the display of the 10 Commandments in classrooms. Meanwhile, in California, a new law prohibits schools from requiring teachers to disclose students' sexual or gender identities without consent. In New Hampshire, a ban on cross-sex surgeries for minors is set to be enforced, though related policies remain under legal review. Medicare beneficiaries who take a lot of pricey medications will get a bigger break in 2025. That's when the $2,000 annual cap on out-of-pocket costs for drugs from the pharmacy or through mail order goes into effect. These laws reflect a wide range of policy changes taking place across the country as we move into 2025. Daniel Monahan, NTD News.
Some of the most important battles facing the incoming Congress will be an encore of the challenges faced by its predecessor.
Our Washington correspondent, Luis Martinez, walks us through what we can expect to see happening on the Hill during the first months of 2025.
House Democrats are preparing to be in opposition of the incoming Trump administration, and House Democrats have already made it clear that the ban on TikTok is law and not up for the president-elect to dispute.
We don't have to, in Congress, legislate around the preferences of the Chinese Communist Party. If they decide they are not going to allow ByteDance to sell, we have to do what's in the best interest of our country, and that is make sure that the CCP can't access our data and use it against us.
And the reason that this law is valid is that it is meeting a national security imperative. Xi Jinping has called influence operations the smokeless battlefield, and TikTok is his most important weapon.
Other House Democrats are ready to work alongside Republicans after a contentious 118th Congress.
So there's going to be a need for people to work together. Look, I agree with Donald Trump on some issues. I'm probably one of those, when people talk about tariffs, I don't think you want across the board tariffs, but I think tariffs are a tool in a toolbox, and we've got to work together on trade. I did with Donald Trump on NAFTA.
I think we have to look for opportunities to work together. I'm a very progressive member from the San Francisco Bay Area. I think I reflect my constituents. I've been there for 10 years, been elected office for 30. For those of us who have that kind of experience, we realize that it's a big country with different constituents in 435 districts, House districts. So we work together in good faith.
Reporting from Washington, D.C., Luis Eduardo Martinez, NTD News.
A military appeals court has upheld the plea deals for 3 defendants in the 9/11 attacks. The decision rejects Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin's bid to toss the agreements. The 3 suspects, including the alleged mastermind of the attack, are currently detained at Guantanamo Bay in Cuba. Prosecutors reached the plea agreements late last summer, which could spare the defendants the possibility of death penalty. Secretary Austin argued that he should have the power to intervene in the case given the gravity of the event. But the court said nullifying the plea deals goes beyond Austin's jurisdiction. Now, the Pentagon still has the option to appeal the ruling. At least 10 people are dead and 30 injured in what police are calling a mass casualty event in New Orleans. A vehicle drove into a crowd during New Year's celebrations early this morning.
Officials are advising people to stay away from the historic Canal and Bourbon Street where the incident took place.
Bourbon Street in the French Quarter is a popular tourist area filled with bars and restaurants and was expected to be busy overnight. Now, moving on, many Puerto Ricans are ringing in the new year in the dark. That's due to a critical failure in Puerto Rico's power grid that caused a massive blackout.
The outage began yesterday morning, affecting over 1.4 million residents, or 90% of power customers on the island. Here's more on that story.
A massive power outage in Puerto Rico has its population scrambling. The power went out 5:30 a.m. Tuesday, leaving island dwellers waking up in the dark. Residents spent the better part of Tuesday getting gas to run generators. Some expressed their frustration, saying the outage is affecting them at an inopportune time.
I understand it's a critical situation. A day like today, New Year's Eve, well, we'll be in a difficult situation.
Puerto Rico's governor says a critical failure in the island's power grid caused the blackout. He said the government and providers are working to restore service as quickly as possible. Luma Energy, a power company responsible for power distribution and transmission on the island, says it'll take up to 48 hours to reach full restoration.
Complete frustration. Frustration, disappointment in the government, in the institutions, and everything.
Power outages on the island have been an ongoing source of frustration throughout the years. The island's inconsistent power system has faltered before.
More than the holidays, what worries me is this country's development. I work here in the pharmaceutical industry. No industries that really want to invest in this country will come here if we don't improve the infrastructure.
And in the Ukraine war, 1 person is dead and at least 6 others injured in Kyiv after Russia launched more than 100 drones in an overnight strike into New Year's Day.
Ukraine's military said at least 111 drones were launched toward 10 regions, 63 were shot down, and 46 failed to strike a target. The United States military has struck targets in Yemen belonging to the Houthi terrorist group. This comes as residents in Israel continue to seek shelter from the group's ongoing missile attacks. NTD's Jason Perry has the Middle East update.
On Tuesday, the Iran-backed Houthi terrorist group in Yemen said they had launched another missile towards Israel's airport. However, Israeli forces reported intercepting a missile fired from Yemen before it crossed into Israeli territory. That was the second reported Houthi missile launched towards Israel's airport since Israeli forces struck an airport in Yemen a few days ago, which they said was used by the Houthis for military activities. Israel's ambassador to the UN said they would not wait around for the next missile to come, and he gave a warning to the Houthis on Monday.
Let me remind you what happened to Hamas, to Hezbollah, to Assad, and to all those who thought to destroy us. This is not a threat. It is a promise. You will share the same miserable fate.
And the next day, the United States military reported launching strikes on targets in Yemen belonging to the Houthis. And smoke was seen rising in Yemen's capital after the strikes on New Year's Eve. A resident in Israel shared her thoughts as the new year approaches.
I want to wish that our country will be safe so we can walk freely. My children are serving in the army and I want the hostages to return.
Meanwhile, in Syria, many residents said they'll celebrate New Year's at home.
Because the situation is not stable, thank God there is safety. The young men of the area are spreading safety in the neighborhood.
And the president of Turkey gave a message to Syria in a New Year's video, saying that Turkey will provide Syria with any support necessary to open the door for peace and prosperity for Syria. But not everyone is supportive of the new Syrian government. The Chinese Communist Party, or CCP, said it wanted to crack down on foreigners in Syria's army after Uyghurs were reportedly promoted to high-level positions in the new Syrian forces. The CCP is accused of committing an ongoing genocide against Uyghurs in the Xinjiang region of China. Jason Perry, NTD News.
Taiwan's president says he wants exchanges with China, but will continue to strengthen Taiwan's defense.
At a New Year's Day news conference, President Lai Ching-te said China was blocking normal interactions like tourism.
Lai said he welcomes equal, dignified, healthy, and orderly exchanges with China.
But he also said Taiwan must be prepared for danger by continuing to increase its defense budget.
Chinese regime leader Xi Jinping said in his New Year's speech that no one can stop China's, quote, reunification with Taiwan.
The Chinese military operates around Taiwan on a daily basis and last year staged 2 rounds of war games near the island.
Coming up, the holiday season is a time of joy and excitement, but for others, it can bring up feelings of stress or loneliness. A mental health counselor joins us to explain the importance of focusing on mental health in 2025.
What if you could whiten your teeth by simply brushing your teeth? Now you can with Smile Actives, the teeth whitening breakthrough that safely gets your teeth white and keeps them white every day, just by brushing your teeth.
I never thought that whitening my teeth could be so easy. I just put the gel on the brush, the toothpaste on it, brush, and I can see my white teeth.
Simply add Smile Actives to any toothpaste and our patented PolyClean technology activates into a powerful microfoam that penetrates into the enamel surface to safely lift and remove stains.
You need a simple way to whiten your teeth. Without strips, without trays, without going to the dentist. And it was about time that a product was developed that you would be able to do that with just brushing.
And now, Smile Actives is even better with new Pro Whitening Gel with 33% greater whitening power, clinically shown to whiten teeth faster, up to 8 shades. 100% of users saw whiter teeth. On food stains, coffee and wine stains, even on veneers, crowns, and dentures.
I eat the blueberries, I drink the coffee, and I know that Smile Actives will keep my teeth white every day.
If you could use something so easy like Smile Actives to take yellow teeth to white teeth, why wouldn't you?
Why spend hundreds of dollars for whitening treatments at the dentist when now you can whiten your teeth with new Smile Actives Pro Whitening Gel every time you brush your teeth? Call or go to smileactives.com and for a limited time get new Pro Whitening Gel for just $24.95. Order in the next 5 minutes and buy one, get one absolutely free for just $24.95. That's 2 for 1 and save 58%. We'll even include free shipping. Get your teeth whiter guaranteed or return it within 60 days for your money back.
I smile every day now.
The difference is literally night and day.
So now I'm always smiling, always choosing, because now my teeth are much whiter.
This offer is not available in stores, so call or click now before the special buy one, get one free offer goes away.
Welcome back. At least 10 people are dead and 30 injured in what police are calling a mass casualty event in New Orleans. A vehicle drove into a crowd during New Year's celebrations early this morning.
Officials are advising people to stay away from the historic canal and Bourbon Street where the incident took place.
Babies born in 2025 will be the first of a new generation, Generation Beta. Members of Gen Beta will be born between 2025 and 2039. That's according to Australian social researcher Mark McCrindle. They'll be the children of younger millennials and older members of Gen Z. McCrindle says Gen Beta will experience artificial intelligence and automation in every aspect of life, more so than previous generations.
By 2035, Gen Beta is expected to make up 16% of the global population, and many members of the new generation are expected to live into the 22nd century. If naming trends persist, the generation after Gen Beta will likely be called Gen Gamma. Run some errands on New Year's Day. Double check to make sure the store is open before you leave home. Many grocery stores and pharmacies are open with modified hours today. Warehouse clubs Costco and Sam's Club are closed on New Year's Day, but retailers Walmart and Target are open. If you have a house project to get done, Home Depot and Lowe's are also open. Most banks follow the Federal Reserve banking holidays, so don't expect teller services to be available. The U.S. Postal Service will also not be sending or delivering mail today.
Now, as millions of Americans are setting their New Year's resolutions, mental health is coming back into the spotlight. The U.S. Department of Health and Human Services reveals that loneliness and isolation are at epidemic levels nationwide. Now let's bring in Alicia Taggart. She is a licensed clinical social worker and mental health counselor to speak about this. Good morning, Alicia. Good to have you, and Happy New Year, of course.
Thank you for having me.
Now,
yes, Happy New Year.
Well, I hope you had a great night. Now, how should we start off our first day of the year? How do we start it off correctly in terms of our mental health?
That's a really great question. I think the best way to start the new year is to consider for yourself, what are some things that will actually bring flourishing in my life? What will add to my daily happiness or my daily desires to actually reach towards the goals that I have for my mental health. And so my encouragement is to think about those things first.
That's a really good one. Now, you also say that social media overuse plays a key role in harming our mental health. Now, who should consider adjusting their time on social media? Or in other words, how much social media is too much so that I can set a limit for myself?
So daily use of social media, and we can see this throughout research and in the different areas, that social media does have quite a few negative effects on us, especially with the amount that we could be consuming. Now, I would encourage everyone, not just speaking of children, but all the way up to adults, to limit the use of your social media and even possibly take a break. Everything in social media wants us to, there's new ads that come up, there's different things that are put together to make us click on things to say that this is the next thing that we need to have. And so I would just encourage everyone to withdraw some of your amount of social media intake and really think about the consumption and the level of that.
And after all, if we log off, there is possibly an hour, 2, maybe for some 3 or 4 more hours that we can spend on other things. Now, how should we spend that kind of time then when it comes to boosting our mental wellness? Do you have some tips on that end?
Yeah, and just to say, one of the points that I have with social media in this is that in anything with our mental health, boundaries and limitations are really important. And I know for many, when we start out for the new year, we're going to have conversations about our health in general and our wellness. And I think what's really important is to understand that we want to just really have moderation in all areas of our life. And so what does that mean? That means not consuming too much of those things that can be negative for us. And so even as you log off from social media, think about, again, things in your life that bring you joy. Spend more time with your family, go outside, go for a walk, bring in this even just sunlight, and rather than looking at a screen. And so connection is really key in all of this in our lives. And so that is one of the most important things to boost our mental health, is being in connection with others.
I think that's a really good point also, especially if we think and look at the news as also this morning, right? There is a lot of anxiety, sparking things that are happening in the world nowadays. So how should we deal with some of the negative emotions that do come up during the day or weeks?
That's a really great question. And I think the answer, and I know that this is a classic mental health answer from a therapist, is that it depends on how we are going to respond to that. But one of the most important ways is to do that within community and in connection with others. And also, there is a lot of negative fear coming from all sorts of sources. And in particular, even with social media, all the way down to like food dyes affecting us to the massive problems in the world. And so the more and more that we take in, it's just the negativity over and over again, and the fear that is going to be too much for us to even handle in our mental health and what is actually good for us. So I would just encourage everyone to log off, to not give in to the fear mongering that is out there, all of the bad news, but also just to spend time with those that you're really close to, the ones that you love, and to lean into that rather than lean into what is all over the news and negativity.
I think that's a great thing to do, and it sounds like it makes a lot of sense. So thank you so much. I hope we all start off our year in a great way. Thank you, Alicia. I really appreciate it.
Yes, absolutely. Happy New Year. Thanks for having me.
Happy New Year.
Just add, sticking to your New Year's resolution can be tough, but we have some tips to help you stay focused on your goals for 2025, so stay around.
Discover the ancient secret to vitality and longevity with Puretang Black Ginseng. Crafted from premium 6-year-old Korean ginseng, each root is carefully nurtured for over 2,260 days, undergoing a traditional 9-round handcrafted process of steaming and drying to unlock full potency and absorption. Experience pure, natural energy with Puretang Black Ginseng. Order now at puretang.com.
There's always a searching process for beauty. You know it when you see it.
as the universe nears the end of its cycle of creation and destruction. The merciful King of Kings descends to save it, confronting the chaos sown by the malvolent Red Dragon. Earth becomes the ultimate battleground. Humanity faces a defining choice. Our eternal fate hangs in the balance during this pivotal moment of cosmic shift.
Welcome back. Many of us are vowing to do something different in the new year, whether you're resolving to be healthier, happier, or have a specific goal in mind.
Staying motivated to achieve those goals can be hard. A psychologist gives some advice on how to make your New Year's resolutions stick. Take a look.
A new you in the new year. But if you keep making the same resolutions without results, you're not alone.
Research indicates that year after year, people tend to set the same exact goal. And this really shows that there is a gap between what we want and what we do.
Psychologist Susan Albers with Cleveland Clinic says there are simple ways to set yourself up for success in 2025. When setting resolutions, be specific and realistic. Instead of saying be more active, set a goal of working out a certain number of days a week for a specific amount of time. Next, she says to try habit stacking. Pairing two habits together can help keep those behaviors going.
So for example, if you drink your cup of coffee every morning routinely, and you want to start getting moving and exercising, that very next behavior after you have your cup of coffee, maybe go for a walk, do some stretches, do some yoga.
Albert says to also focus on process goals, not outcome goals. For instance, aim to eat a serving of veggies with each meal rather than to lose 20 pounds. And practice self-compassion. She says it'll help you bounce back from setbacks. And get support. Sharing goals with others can help you reach them. Finally, stay on top of your progress.
When we write down what we are working on, research indicates that this significantly helps us to keep on track.
Yeah, great one. And habit building in the end is so important. What I also hear very often is that it's not all or nothing, right? Cheat days are allowed. Maybe you let it slip for one day. Just pick it up the next. You're fine. Just having fun with it, I think, is really the key to making that a success. Right. And you know, it kind of goes back to what you were talking about in that interview. This mental health expert in West Palm Beach area, Dr. Chrissy Karabanian, says that, you know, it can be really overwhelming when you start stacking up all those resolutions that you have to hold yourself to. Oh, yeah. And a lot of it has to do with wellness or finance. So she says, you know, don't make these broad goals like, oh, I want to be healthier. Just make a specific goal. Like, I'm just going to eat one healthy meal a week and cook a home-cooked meal. Yeah, exactly. And I think, right, and that breaks it down to something much more achievable, right? And in general, something that I learned that I think is actually a good rule of thumb for anything, whether it be at work or for your, you know, private life, it's SMART goals. I think it's specific, measurable, achievable, and I think realistic is something that people say for New Year's resolutions, and time-bound. So then that makes it, you can actually see if you're progressing. Exactly. Get that check mark. It's a win-win. You get those small wins and you just keep going. Exactly. All right. On that note, have a great first day of the year, everyone. We're wrapping up our show right here, but be sure to stay tuned for NTD News today at 12 p.m. Eastern Time. That's still coming up. And for round-the-clock original news coverage, visit us at ntd.com or download our NTD app. That's right. Don't forget to follow us on X as well at NTD Good Morning. Thank you now for watching. I'm Evelyn Lee. And I'm Kevin Hogan.
Dear NTD viewers, my name is Janice Trey. I'm the CEO of NTD. Just as a plum perseveres in the winter and blossoms, it spreads hope and renewal. May this new year add new beauty and light in your life. Many blessings and